Hi, I'm Neil Christensen, author of Dark White and Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey, and you're watching another of my sporadic installments of I'm Reading House of Leaves, so you don't have to. Chapter 16 takes a new approach to the story of the house on Ash Tree Lane. Up until now, the Navidson record has focused principally on the effects the house has had on others. We've seen it tear apart Will and Karen's marriage, worse than it already was. We've seen the dark and frightening effects on the children's psyche, and the lives it took, including Will's brother Tom. No consideration, however, has been given to the house as it relates purely to itself. Chapter 16 tries to do this, but in doing so struggles to hold on to a narrative structure. Instead, it finds itself recapping through lists things we've already known about from actual storytelling in the previous chapters. Chapter 16 tells us that there's no light, there's no humidity, there's no air movement, that the temperature is constant. There's no sounds except for that roar that we hear sometimes. Nothing functioning on electromagnetism works. The walls are black. There are no windows, moldings, or other decorative elements. Size and depth vary. Nothing brought in lasts. It's interesting that these descriptions are applied universally to the house rather than the hallway spaces specifically. We know that the house itself does feature color, light, and moderately nominal temperature, and humidity as well as windows, doors, decorations, etc. That said, many of the aspects of the interior hallway spaces do manifest themselves outside in the primary residence, just over slower time periods. Motion detectors on the cameras function, laser measurement devices work, but the walls and doors do change positions, and some items, like Karen's feng shui trinkets, do vanish on their own. The chapter tries to manage some form of narration by telling us that Will takes the samples he's managed to recover to a university for analysis. However, the narrative here is stiff and feels forced, still giving us an info dump on what was discovered in the studies. The long and short of it is that the walls in the hallways are made of a mixture of different kinds of stone: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. The meat and potatoes the chapter is trying to get at is that the structure is old, very old. The youngest samples date through radiospectroscopy to several thousand years, and the oldest ranging in age from 4.2 to 4.7 billion years old, older than the solar system according to the book. This information is meant, in my opinion, to deliver a sense of the supernatural, which is plainly unnecessary, considering the existence of the spaces in the house is in and of itself supernatural. We do also get an update on Johnny, and he's not doing well. As it stands, I've dropped 18 pounds. A couple of eviction notices lie near my door. I feel like I haven't slept in months. My neighbors are scared of me. He tells us that he rarely leaves his apartment, only when he needs to sell blood to buy candles. I sense the dullness inside me get too heavy and thick, warning me that something is again approaching, creeping slowly towards my room. I still take the Taurus and the Heckler and Koch out of the trunk, load them, and just handle the trigger. Sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes for hours, aiming at the door or the window or a ceiling corner cast in shadow. For the first time reading this book, I felt like a chapter was unneeded. There has been plenty of text in this book that is superfluous and over-detailed or extraneous, but it has always felt supported in the tone and ambiance that it imparts to the story. This chapter felt wasteful to me, but if I've learned anything from this book so far, it's that I shouldn't judge something too quickly. It's very possible that this chapter will pay itself off down the road. So if you're liking this series, please support me by subscribing and hitting the like button. I know you know this, but it's very helpful in telling YouTube that this is quality material that should be shared to a wider audience. You can also support me by buying my books, Dark White and Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey. Tune in next time for Chapter 17 and come back in 2026 for I'm reading Moby Dick, so you don't have to.